You won't believe what the haters say about the Phoenix Suns. They say your haters are your greatest motivators, and that seems to be the mantra of the Phoenix Suns after becoming the ugly stepchild of the NBA over the past few seasons. But is there a valid reason for all the hate that's been building against this team? If you're a bit confused as to why people can't stand them, make sure you stick around as we unpack some of the blunders that have made the Phoenix Suns one of the most despised teams in the NBA today. But first, let me start by asking you, how would you feel if your favorite NBA team had a reputation for only beating injured teams in the playoffs, then arrogantly grandstanding as if they're the best team in the league? Your key players are becoming infamous for their chest puffing and whining, crying to the refs over every single call, trashing their opponents late in the game when they're up, but are straight crickets when they're down or the score's even trying to use a secret tunnel in the arena to instigate an altercation with their opponents after the game. And you have a point guard who's known for his extreme aggression, flopping, dirty play, and complaining on the court, who also puts all the blame on his team in the post-game press conference, while taking no responsibility for his own terrible performance. You have an owner who gets exposed as a misogynistic racist with a toxic work environment. And to top it all off, your fellow fans of this team suffer from little brother syndrome, making them highly antagonistic and obnoxious when engaging with fans of teams from bigger markets. Well, this disjointed system is the reality that is today's Phoenix Suns. But how did we get here? The Phoenix Suns were an exciting franchise at one point, after being the only team to go undefeated in the NBA bubble during the pandemic lockdown. Everyone thought they stole the show and wanted to see them continue the run. They were a crowd favorite, with many rooting them on as they started to finally end the drought in Phoenix. But now, the consensus around the league is that the Suns players and their fans are some of the most irritating people to deal with in the NBA. And there are a multitude of reasons for this. First of all, in their 2021 playoff series against the Nuggets, the Suns started trashing their opponents after going up 3-0 on the series. Instead of taking the win with humility and gracefully moving on in the playoffs, they resorted to trash talking and fighting with the Nuggets at the end of Game 4. The Suns rode this villain arc all the way to the finals that season, where they were finally humbled, to some degree, after the Milwaukee Bucks wiped the finals floor with them. However, despite the loss, this fire of arrogance continued to build up in Phoenix and was reignited during the following 2022 season, where the Suns managed to secure the best record in the NBA. They also left an extremely cocky impression on many viewers during last year's playoffs. The Suns didn't seem to have a humble, happy-to-be-here vibe. In the first round of the playoffs against the Pelicans, a fierce rivalry started to develop between Chris Paul and Jose Alvarado. The matchup got extremely petty, with CP3 resorting to dirty plays against Alvarado, including an elbow to the face, which sent Alvarado to the dentist with a chipped tooth. However, the Suns' next playoff series against the Dallas Mavericks solidified the collective hate against the Phoenix franchise. Devin Booker absolutely harassed Luka Doncic throughout the entire series, mocking and belittling him every time he had the chance. But Booker's antics seemed to bring out the best in Luka, causing him and the Mavs to obliterate the Suns by 33 points on their own home court in Game 7, making it one of the most embarrassing playoff blowouts in NBA history. Overall, the animosity that developed between Booker and Luka seemed to be the spark behind much of the current hate against the Suns. People don't realize how large of a fan base Luka has in Europe. Whole entire countries are fans of Luka. And after that playoff series, the large horde of passionate European basketball fans see Devin Booker and the Suns as Luka's enemies, which makes them Luka's fans' enemies. Devin Booker endured a long stint being on a losing Suns team, and his rivals weren't exactly friendly about his lack of success. But once they added CP3 to the roster and started winning, Booker felt like it was finally time to get his get back on the rivals who had beat him for so long. But he often takes the trash talking overboard and has a tendency to overassert himself, blurring the line that divides confidence and arrogance. This has really rubbed his opponents and their fans the wrong way, with many basketball fans around the world now harboring some serious hate for Booker. And to make matters worse, there was the time that Booker and Ayton posted a video on social media where they can be seen working out and bragging about their recent victory. This was viewed by many as an attempt to showboat and overinflate their 4-point win over a shorthanded Warriors team, who didn't even have Steph Curry, so the Suns seemed to be proud to beat a team that was nowhere near their best. And then, as if things couldn't get any worse for the Suns, there was the Robert Sarver scandal, which further inflated the negative cloud that was developing over Phoenix. The Suns owner was exposed for reportedly saying the N-word, making misogynistic comments, sexually assaulting staff, and fostering a toxic work environment, which ultimately cost him over $10 million, as well as the ownership of the franchise. And while the Suns' floor general, CP3, is one of the best point guards of all time and consistently puts his team in a more competitive position, many NBA fans find him to be extremely irritating. Part of the reason for this could be that he brings an extremely competitive, old-school, no-nonsense style of leadership to the team, which is viewed as toxic to some. CP3 is known to bring this extremely aggressive energy to every team he's a part of. When he was with the Rockets, he instigated a brawl with the Clippers players in the hallway of the Staples Center. And reportedly, CP3 attempted to use his knowledge of the Staples Center to break into the Clippers locker room through a secret tunnel. Their apparent goal was to start a confrontation with Austin Rivers. Thankfully, CP3 and his teammates were stopped by Staples Center security before the situation got even further out of hand. And then you have DeAndre Ayton, who seems to feel the need to act tough for some reason. Maybe he just has a strong personality. But either way, his shenanigans aren't helping the Suns move in a positive direction. And to top things off, Ayton's also reportedly been bumping heads with the head coach, which isn't good, because an Ayton trade would be a huge loss for the Suns if they can't smooth over this situation. However, things don't look completely grim for the Suns franchise after recently adding a huge piece to their roster. Phoenix acquired forwards Kevin Durant and T.J. Warren in a blockbuster trade where they gave up Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson, Jay Crowder, 4 first-round picks, and a pick swap in exchange. The Suns forked over a hefty sum for Durant, but hope to receive it all back in the future in the form of their first championship as a franchise. Kevin Durant clearly has no shame about joining pre-built teams to get his rings. So far, he's joined up to form super teams with OKC, the Warriors, Brooklyn, and now Phoenix. It'll be interesting to see if this leaves an asterisk on his legacy when he retires, despite the fact that he was quoted last year saying that his legacy has, quote, never been stronger. Many consider his legacy to be tainted after the career moves he's been making over the last several years, which may very well disqualify him from the GOAT conversation in the future. At the end of the day, though, a champion is a champion. And while he's currently sidelined with an MCL injury, reports are saying KD's in great shape and is able to go at game speed, although he's not yet been cleared to run fives or even participate in 3-on-3 drills at the time of this recording. Booker and the other Suns players seem to be optimistic about the addition of KD to the roster, stating that his work ethic can bring out the best in everybody around him. So overall, this team has the potential to contend for a title, but they seem to be holding themselves back, being more focused on stirring the pot than keeping their eyes on the prize. And while they may not ever become the pillar of sportsmanship, it will be interesting to see if the addition of Kevin Durant helps the Suns get out of their own way.